How's it going? Happy Moon Day. Hope this first Moon Day in October is treating you well. It's been a rather exciting weekend. Hey, hi. Hey, Galen, how are you? Astrologically, it's a rather quiet week. We are still in this Adhika Masa, that basically just means extra month, which happens every 2.5 years. Solar month is several hours longer than a lunar month. And over time, like in a year, there's an 11-day difference. And so over the course of 2.5 years, those extra days build up. And so it's every 32 months. So it's like 2 years and 8 months that there's then this extra month that comes through. And it happens, so the last new moon was in the first, like very early degrees of Virgo in the sidereal zodiac, and the upcoming new moon next week, middle of this month, will be in the very last degrees of Virgo. And so we have this month where we have two moon cycles, two lunar cycles that happen in the same sign. And this happens only once every 2.5 years. And so that's the time that we're in currently. And traditionally, this is a time for prayer and meditation and this sort of inward moving energy. The way I think about it is like, what would you do with all the lost time? Right? If you suddenly, like, all the time that sort of slips through the cracks and, waiting for the bus or this sort of like all that time that sort of disappears and gets lost, what would you do if you sort of collect all that and then had it back? And that's what this month is really good for. So there are no festivals in the Hindu calendar for this month because there's a very specific schedule that, the stars are in a certain position, and so this festival happens. But because this is the extra month, there's no festival scheduled for this month, and so it's this time for introspection and for prayer and this sort of like this check in. So that's the time that we're still in. The main thing that has happened is Mars is now back in Pisces. Mars is the one retrograde planet right now. Saturn has gone direct. Jupiter is direct. Those two are heading towards their grand conjunction on the 21st of December. That's a once every 20-year event when Saturn and Jupiter cross paths. That'll be happening in the sign of Capricorn. But Mars has just retrograded into Pisces, out of Aries back into Pisces, and will be there until the 23rd of December. And so this is a pretty significant shift. Mars, our warrior planet, that part of us that wants to destroy that which is making us weak. Hey Cedric, good to see you, my friend. How are you? Thanks. Looking good. I've been shaving more often. It's this thing. I didn't know that this was an option. Anyway. What we're talking about? Mars. So Mars rules the sign Aries, and has been there in the very early degrees for a little while now, and since the end of mid-August, and so Mars dipped its toe into its own sign Aries, and Mars, the warrior planet, the red planet, so it's got this fiery energy to it, and Aries is a fire sign, so it's this very active, impulsive, eager, sort of explosive quality to Mars in Aries. And when Mars goes back into Pisces is a water sign, and a little more mystical, metaphysical, abstract. And so it's this opportunity to reflect on what we're willing to fight for. And the image that comes to mind for me is the warrior in the garden, and sort of like the warrior fighting metaphysical battles, and in this sort of abstract realm, and sort of conceptually checking in with what is it that I'm willing to fight for, and especially when Mars is retrograde. Retrograde cycles intensify that planet's influence, and they internalize it. And so if we're sort of outgoing energy towards fighting battles, when Mars is then retrograde, it's like, okay, well, what have been the results of those battles I've been fighting? Have I been winning more battles that I've been losing? How am I choosing my battles? Am I destroying that which makes me weak, or am I just destroying things indiscriminately? And so when Mars is retrograde, it's time to be asking these questions, and especially in the sign of Pisces, it sort of elevates it into this sort of spiritual realm. Pisces is the sign of the poet mystic, right? Very, very abstract, metaphysical, and has a lot to do with faith, and this trust that the flow of the cosmos, that the ocean will just carry you and wash you up on the island where you're meant to be. You don't have to exert much energy and struggle and fight to get to where you're going. That the natural flow of time and life will get you there. So that's what's happening with Mars. And Mars within us is really where our energy goes. It's where our energy output goes. And so it's time to be a little bit more reflective about how we're exerting physical energy. Like I've noticed that my exercise regimen, which has been quite intense actually, I can correlate it almost exactly with Mars went into Aries in the middle of August, and right about that time I started doing like 100 push-ups a day and running a couple miles every day, and like really like feel like, yeah, I want to get in shape. And there's that sort of like physical action that and the embodied quality that Mars likes to get into. And the last week or two, totally fallen off a cliff with it, and more interested in movies and podcasts and books and the sort of abstract psychological realm that I'm more familiar with anyway, or I spend more time there as it is. So yeah, I wonder, is anybody else feeling that? Has anybody else noticed that this sort of like last couple, like since mid-August, August, September, and then it was just a couple days ago, last week, that that Mars shifted. Anybody else notice that shift? Croptober, yeah, Sajid, you got work to do, huh? Harvest time. That's good. Yeah, this is speaking of harvesting. It's one of the areas of astrology. Kristen's saying the past week has been so intense. Yeah. And I'm curious to hear more about that. But I mean, so Mars brings a lot of intensity, right? Is this very action oriented? It's the fight part of fight or flight, right? There's this survival fear that comes with Mars. And when a planet is going retrograde, right, from our perspective on Earth, it is moving along in the sky, and it has to slow down and stop and then turn around and back up. And so this moment of stationing retrograde, it's literally just like staring right at us. And retrograde cycles happen for the most part when planets are closest to us. So Mars is very close to us and retrograde. And for example, Pisces is the president of the United States' 8th house. The 8th house has to do with illness, disease, death. And so this week, there was Mars going retrograde into his 8th house. And so one of my teachers, Sam Geppy, has done a bunch. You should Google or YouTube Sam Geppy. He did some wonderful case studies about this whole COVID moment in the president's history, and it's serious, right? The astrology shows that this is a real life or death moment for him, and is again, Mars retrograding into his 8th house. His dasha cycles are pretty intense with Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter, the ruler of his 8th house, Saturn, the ruler of his 6th house. It's a hard time, and one of my other teachers, Simon Chokoyski, there's a video from him in February predicting some sort of illness or fall from power, fall from grace, for the president around this time based on this transit. So I found that really, really interesting. What I was going to say, okay, Cedric, cycles are coming to an end for everyone and everything. Yeah, and one of the things I noted last week is there's been this sense of like limbo or purgatory is what I've been feeling, where it's just sort of like this like floating, like almost it's that like weightless moment at the top of a roller coaster where you've sort of gone down and up and you're like, whoa, everything's in slow motion, and then the roller coaster is going to keep going, right? And that's sort of what I've been feeling this last week is this just sort of like there's so much intensity, and it's almost like the eye of the storm, right? Where it's just everything is so intense, but there's this weird stillness. It's like, wait, why isn't anything happening? And there should be something happening, and I'm glad that there's not, but it's also freaking me out that there's not, and it's just sort of like, whoa, what's happening? Kristen, you've been feeling that as well. Yeah, that it's wild times to be a human on Earth, isn't it? I was going to say something about harvesting, and this is an area for me which is sort of the future learning, the sort of in the future when I have my own garden or some support. And okay, so I'm here in Portugal and I'm setting up my practice here, and I've been looking around, trying to find Ayurvedic herbs and oils and medicated ghee and these sorts of things, and there's not a lot of people doing that. And that's fine because I know how to make those things, and so I'm thinking that might be a primary piece of my business here. And so I'm thinking about, cool, like, want to find the good sources and people growing herbs organically and sustainably and harvesting them appropriately. But I'm also thinking, well, really the way to do that is to grow them myself or to find somebody in Portugal who's growing them, because there's this whole funny thing of, oh, we all want to be heady and holistic and take our Ayurvedic herbs, but if we're importing herbs from India, and so many herbs are endangered as well, and and it's coming in plastic packaging with 1,000 or 5,000 food miles on it. It's troubled, right? It's complicated, and so the best solution is to learn how to grow one's own herbs, and so that's definitely cutting edge of my knowledge. I am really good at herbalism when I have a jar labeled ashwagandha and another one labeled shatavari, and then I know exactly what to do with that. But cultivation, propagation, harvesting is definitely cutting edge of my personal knowledge and experience. And so anyway, one of the most sort of magical pieces of knowledge that lives just on the outskirts of my awareness is how to harvest appropriately. And my anthroposophical friends, my Steiner students in here will have a lot to teach me about this, that the plants are terrestrial versions of the planets, and there's there are these astrological indications of when and how to harvest, and anyway, this is just like a public note to self to study that, and if somebody wants to teach me something about that, please do. Somebody wants to collaborate with me in learning about that, let's do it. Okay, let's see. Twitchy and restless, yeah, totally. Totally. Am I near Balil Island? I don't know where that island is. I am right now in Carcavelos, which is a little town just 20 minutes outside of Lisbon. But just today I went and signed up for this apartment in the Alfama neighborhood of Lisbon. So I'll be there starting in November. So yeah, right in the heart of Lisboa. Yes. So much happening. Herbs, talked about that. Right, we're in this Adhika Masa, the extra month, and so there's another couple weeks. I think the next new moon is mid-October. It's like the 15th or 16th, something like that. I'll send out a new moon newsletter, and that also marks the start of Navaratri, the 9 nights of the goddess. And this is one of the most holy times of the Hindu calendar. It is one of my favorite times of year. I have many fond memories of Alandi Ashram in Boulder, spending, getting out for fire ceremony 9 nights in a row, and such deep ceremony and so much prayer and connection to the goddess. And so the purpose of these 9 nights is to honor the different forms of the goddess, and in the form of like the beautiful young girl and the crone and the fierce goddess, right? Kali Ma, and ultimately it's the story of how Durga defeats the buffalo demon, who through the merit of his own spiritual effort, gained a boon from Shiva and became unable to be defeated in battle by any man. And so ultimately all the gods, Vishnu, Shiva, all went into battle and were defeated, and so they all gave their weapons to Durga Ma and said, like, Mom, will you help? And because she was not a man, she was able to work it out for them. And that's like the most surface level summary of that whole epic story. But this time is a celebration of that whole process. And so I will be offering, because I can't be in Boulder with my spiritual family there, I am going to offer some mantras here, and I think I'll just get live on Instagram. I'm going to do it early in the morning here, so it'll be late in the evening in the United States. Just going to get up first thing in that Brahma Muhurta time, sort of the 2 hours before and around sunrise, and just chant some mantras. And that's primarily a personal practice, but I want to share it and invite everybody else to participate in that process with me, because I know that my life has been transformed by the depth of worship that is available at this particular time. And we don't have to get religious about it at all. There's a lot of sound science about the power of sound and the impacts of mantra on the physical body, on the psyche, and the repetition. You create this energetic signature with the mantra, and you repeat it, and it really powerful. One of my favorite practices. Okay, what's happening here? Okay, Cedric, let's connect about your friends in Portugal. That'd be great. What can we anticipate the rest of the month? Hey Dylan, hey Otter, good to see you guys. What can we anticipate the rest of this month? Well, the action, the major moves start up again in November. There starts to be Jupiter will enter Capricorn mid-November, and there's an eclipse at the end of November. Everything is sort of where it is for now until Jupiter makes that move. There's still this sort of like reshuffling. The nodes have just changed signs, so we're still sort of getting used to that. Rahu in Taurus and Ketu in Scorpio. So there's still this sort of resetting of that energy, and these shifts there. Like last month was super intense. Next month super intense as well. Jupiter going into Capricorn. Jupiter was in Capricorn earlier this year, from the end of March through the end of June, which corresponds to the height of the lockdown, right? So I think it's November 20th that Jupiter will re-enter Capricorn and will be there until April 12th of 2021. So we want to be ready for that. Just be prepared. Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. Jupiter, whose name is Guru, is our source of inspiration, expansion, big ideas, sort of religiosity, spirituality, is this big, beautiful, all the ideas that expand our sense of what's possible. And Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, is quite restrictive and conservative and sort of like go to your room sort of energy. So we want to be ready for that. We've got this first eclipse cycle with Rahu and Ketu in their new locations. I think November 30th is a lunar eclipse, and then December 14th is the total solar eclipse that will cut across the southern part of South America. So, I mean, I hate to tell you, like, one of the things that I think is really, really important, and the astrology backs it up, and there's a lot of sort of sociocultural and political evidence for this as well, is to start adjusting our expectations that election night is more like election month, right? To not get excited to have a final result on election night, because so many people are voting by mail. I voted digitally. Awesome process. It was so simple. I didn't even have to print out my ballot. I filled it out digitally. I was able to sign it digitally because I have my cool like iPad pen now, and uploaded it securely, and I can track it all the way, and I watched it, it was submitted, and then now it's been approved, and so if you haven't voted, please go vote as soon as possible. And anyway, a lot of states are not allowed to start counting mail-in ballots until the election is, until the polls close on election day, right? And so opening all those ballots, opening all that mail, checking the signatures, there's this whole process. And so to everybody just like sort of relax, because capitalism, all the news channels have turned it in. It's like the Super Bowl for news channels, right? And so they hype it up and make it this big event, and we just need to relax. We're not going to know the results that night, and so just chill out, wait for all the votes to be counted. I think that, and I'm saying that because the astrology is rough for that month. So hopefully, like, there's Jupiter changing signs right after the election. I'm a little bit nervous. Anyway, just I don't know if it's going to be COVID that comes back, but again, Jupiter in Capricorn corresponds to quarantine. And so let's just be ready for something like that to come back. I don't know, COVID might come back in full force. I don't want to speculate about what else might send us into quarantine again, but I hope that's helpful. And there will be more detailed updates available. Let's see. The next new moon newsletter will come out next week, and that's always full of data, considering some changes in how I do that. But that's sort of my monthly, like, okay, here are the important dates. Here's a little bit of analysis, and you can go check, before I get on here, I always read the previous one. So you can go to my website, vedadave.com/library is where the archive of all of those newsletters are. And so go read the one for October, and it's got a list of dates and some analysis and a whole bunch of specific things coming up, specific things to look for. And that resource is available for you. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there as well. Just Saturday of this week, the lovely ladies of Cultivate Balance once again hosted me for a talk about, we're calling it Cosmic Cultivation, Ayurvedic Astrology for Transformative Times. And so we're sort of talking about the shared principles between Ayurveda and Vedic astrology. These are really one and the same system. You applying the same principles in different directions, right? One more terrestrial, one more cosmic, but same language, same concepts, same vocabulary. So this last weekend, it was a really, really good session. I think I had fun and talked about the bipolar zodiac, where we sort of went through the whole zodiac as pairs of opposites. And the pairs of opposites are a fundamental concept in Ayurveda as well as in Vedic astrology, but I haven't heard it talked about in Vedic astrology that much. And so we talk about how Aries is exactly opposite from Libra in the zodiac, right? And so they have medicine for each other. The sort of out of balance Aries can find healing with the qualities of Libra, and you can go all around the zodiac that way. And that's good information if you're trying to find harmony in your own life, as well as a good way if you're studying astrology at all, if you want to become more conversational in astrology. And so when your hipster millennial friends are eating avocado toast and talking about astrology at brunch, you can have something valuable to contribute, right? So yeah, it's understanding those pairs become a really simple way to memorize all of the signs and the order in which the signs move. I remember when I first started studying astrology, that felt really overwhelming. This idea like, wait, which sign is where and what order they go in? It just felt like a lot of information, a lot of data to remember. Otter, let's have brunch one day, man. I can't wait to have some bottomless mimosas with you, my friend. Yeah, check out that recording is in the library at vedadave.com as well. I think that's it for me today. Hang out for a couple minutes here. Everybody doing okay? I know it's rough. It's really rough. It's like even the calm moments, as you were saying before, the calm moments. Hey, hi. The calm moments are also, for me, anxiety ridden because of everything that's happening. It's like, if I'm not being overwhelmed with new crazy events in the world or my personal life, there's anxiety because I sort of suspect there's more coming, and so I'm anticipating it, if not actively dealing with it, and so that's where the regular exercise routine has been really helpful, and been diving into my work. One of the things I'm in the process of creating that I hope will be helpful for everyone is a time management session or a course. I think it's a course, and I don't have all the sort of surface level presentation details oriented, but it's going to be something like natural time management, cosmic time management. And so Ayurveda and astrology have these very specific ways of understanding natural biorhythms, and as the planet turns on its axis and moves relative to the sun and moon, there are specific activities that are indicated for particular times, and the more we can align our individual movements with the cosmic flow of things, the sort of easier, more effortless life becomes. And I notice this, mostly I notice this when I'm not abiding by it, right? When I start doing whatever I want, whenever I want, my mental health suffers, my physical health suffers, and I get all out of whack. I'm like, oh, why is my life so terrible? And it's like, yeah, maybe if you just, went to bed earlier, woke up earlier, or, the great example is, you don't go to the grocery store at 3 a.m, because the results of that effort are not going to bear fruit, right? I mean, you could go, you might have to break in and steal the food, but so you might still come home with food, but it's not going to be as beneficial as getting up and going at the appropriate time. And even then, do you want to go at 5 p.m. on a Friday when it's going to be slammed, Or if you can choose, do you want to go at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, where it's a little bit more, maybe not everybody's doing their grocery shopping at that time, right? So the timing is everything, right? Choosing the auspicious moment to do the thing makes all the difference, right? This whole thing about right place, wrong time. So there's a lot of wisdom available in the Vedic tradition about how to navigate this. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. And so I'm sort of compiling all that information into a course that I will tell you more about when it's more ready. As you can see, I'm really just fleshing it out right now. And so if there's anything specific that comes up for you, if there's anything specific you want to learn about, any particular questions, let me know. Now is the time to get me, because I'm putting it together as we speak. So yeah, great, wonderful. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to see you today. I am here at this time every Monday, calling this the Moon Day Boon. And I would encourage you to go to vedadave.com, sign up for the New Moon newsletter. Comes with the full moon feature. Right now I'm sending you 2 emails a month at the new moon and the full moon. And one is full of astrological analysis, important dates, a little video of me talking about that sort of thing, journal prompts, guided meditation, that sort of thing. The full moon feature is more like, what am I reading? What am I listening to? Who else's work is of benefit in my life right now that I think would be good for you as well. So that's the full moon feature, featuring other people. That's the way to stay in touch, and talk to you soon. Take care. Love y'all.